finding out that a lot of skincare brands don't actually test and aren't required to, like legally required to test on anyone darker than a tan, was like shocking to me. What is the point of investing millions of dollars into technology if it only works for a small demographic of people? None of these things are necessities.
Right.
None of these things are necessities.
Right.
All of this is vanity.
100%.
All is the plus. So like, why is it not accessible to me?
Today's guest is no different. When Jackie Aina started her YouTube channel back in 2009, the beauty world had very little to offer for melanin-rich skin. And fast forward today, and she's become one of the most influential voices in beauty, known for her glam, her truth, and her mission to make skincare and makeup actually inclusive. If you've ever struggled to find products that work for your skin tone or just want to level up on your skincare game, this is the episode for you. Welcome, Jackie.
I'm so happy you're here.
Likewise. It's been a long time coming.
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
It has been a pleasure to know you for many, many years.
Thank you. Likewise.
And the interesting part is when we first met, I didn't know how much of a big deal you really are. So it's a pleasure because your humility and you always look good. I have had the pleasure, knowing you for many years and doing small, tiny little tweaks as we've done over the years. But it's always been so subtle and so glamorous. And I've always asked you how you look so good. So for all of our listeners and viewers, we are happy to have you here because we want you to share with everyone how you maintain this gorgeous look with such class. Always. Every time I see you dressed, it's impeccable. Your makeup is perfect. Your hair is perfect. Even when it's on the go and it's in the office for 5 minutes. All you women out there should take a couple notes today because this is the way it should be done. Welcome.
Thank you.
So happy to have you.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
When we look at skincare, because obviously, look, we have our own line. We look at and sample 100 different skincare lines out there. But why do you think that there just isn't enough effective skincare for melanin-rich skin?
Well, finding out that a lot of skincare brands don't actually test and aren't required to, like legally required to test on anyone darker than a tan, was like, recently finding that out was like shocking to me. And I ultimately think what happens in skincare, the same thing that happens with beauty, is like lighter skin is considered the default. So I've come to realize, even from like a technology perspective, so doing things like, oh my God, what Fraxel, right? Like things like that are like way more invasive and like treat things in the skin. They'll test it on lighter people. And then if they love it, it'll go to market. But then they'll be like, oh, we'll come out with another version for you later. And the same thing happens in beauty. The same thing happens in skincare. And it's so annoying because you're basically, not you, but like the industry in general is teaching people that having dark skin is an afterthought. Because I cannot tell you how many times I've gone to an esthetician clinic and they've been like, that doesn't work for you, but we have this. And I'm like, what is the point of investing millions of dollars into technology if it only works for a small demographic of people?
Right.
It's so annoying, but it's crazy. The same thing exists in beauty, cosmetics. It exists everywhere. And it's so rampant that like, you can't say this accidental. Like this has to be systematic, right? Like this is not a coincidence. It's by design. But what I don't understand is like, are you not in the business of making money? Why would you not want to make your products widely available? I don't really get it, but I also think maybe because they're not incentivized to make it available to people who look like me, then maybe they just don't care.
And here's a positive point. You have, and your voice has made a difference because I will tell you, we've been in private practice for 16 years. And if I tell you what a big difference in the second half of our career so far, there's been a big shift. And I've seen this with technology where they come out and they say, we're bringing out lasers for darker skinned individuals.
Right.
Because I'll tell you something. I have a ton of patients who have Fitzpatrick 4s and 5s who aren't, from Scandinavia. And whether they're African-American or they're Middle Eastern or they're Persian or they're from Qatar, you know what I mean? It's I can't be like, I can't do this procedure on you.
Oh, they tell me that all the time.
And now it's changed.
Or they'll botch your skin.
Lot. Now, you have to go to the right person that knows.
Yeah.
And you have to, a lot of clinics may not have that demographic come through to them. Luckily, I do. In my opinion, I say we do. And there's a lot more. And perhaps, and I really mean that, it's your voice. It's people like you that have come out and said, hold on a second, what about me?
Yeah.
What about my mom? What about my sister? What about my friends? What about everybody that wants that glow up that my friend just had that has lighter skin? That's not fair. But then the comeback is, well, you have better skin quality. You don't need it.
Well, that's actually I'm actually glad you said that, because that was going to be my response to that. But think about it, like systemically,
sure.
When like OBGYN industry was created, it was created under the guise of like, well, Black women don't feel pain. They're not even like they tested on Black women without anesthesia because they thought, or they were inclined to teach people that we respond to things differently. Like, yeah, there is true. Having more melanin means your skin responds better to things. We tend to age better.
Sure.
That is true.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean we're completely immune. So, I mean, like, sometimes my skin does scar and I want to maybe do something.
Right.
You shouldn't be flat out excluded. And also, I'm sorry, but it's just not acceptable to leave any clinic being told, well, you don't need that anyway, because it's like, girl, like how many decades? I mean, it was the same thing people used to tell me when I first got into makeup. They'd be like, well, you don't need makeup because your skin's so perfect. And it's like, okay, but I have a job interview. I do want to wear lipstick. I do want to wear foundation.
You like the contouring. It looks nice.
But also, I shouldn't need, none of these things are necessities.
Right.
None of these things are necessities.
All of
this is vanity.
100%.
All is the plus. So like, why is it not accessible to me?
You know, I think part of it in decades past is that we lacked the technology. And when you look at most of the skin tightening or improving procedures, they're heat-based technologies. Well, we know that the more melanin you have in your skin, heat will cause hyperpigmentation. And so we say, or some of the wavelengths will burn darker skin. So, you know, even in lighter or fair-skinned individuals, even if they come in after a beach vacation and they have darker skin, we'll turn them away and say, look, we can't do this. It's because of the limitation of the technology. And that's why what you were saying is we're starting to create technology now that has a fail-safe mechanism in it. So let's say we're using heat-based technology, but it has a cooling mechanism that like doesn't allow, because all it is, pigmentation after a treatment, when we use heat-based technologies, it's the body's response to injury. And so it releases more of that melanin as an umbrella to try to protect the skin, right? And so I think now being able to use some of these technologies for skin tightening, but it has a cooling mechanism, you're going to see it'll be able to be used across the board.
Good.
Yeah.
And it's really necessary. And I think, and perhaps, again, it may be because of you, it may be because of celebrities, it may be because of a lot of people that are like, hold on a second. I want to age gracefully. And even though I age better than you, for example, okay, because my skin tone is different or quality is different, it still it shouldn't prevent me from being able to have the same treatments. Definitely. And I think
I agree.
People are being educated on it now. And it's a different type of education than we had 20 years ago or even 15 years ago. And if I tell you the amount of different products that are brought in and they're like, this can be used for darker skin individuals, it is like, if I tell you it's like a buzzword, it has changed so much in the last, I would say really the last 5 years.
Okay,
and it's
good
great.
to know.
It's good to see that. Because I'll tell you something, we as plastic surgeons, the number one most important thing for us is safety.
Yeah.
So when I bring you into the office and say, I want to do something, the last thing I want to do is do something that's going to harm you or make you look worse in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I think some of that is also the reluctancy to do a procedure that may do something that'll be scarring or make you look worse or that lean into complication that you can't fix.
Yeah.
So for years, that's also been the problem. But I think it's been a problem of that, and the demographic wasn't widely available for a lot of these things. Now it's a different story.
Agreed.
Much different story.
Yeah, because
which is a good thing.
The girls want to get things done. Like everybody, I think we're also living in an era where like people are in general are making more money. They're making more money younger.
100%.
And the conversations around even like fairly non-invasive things are just more widely available. We know more things. We have access to more. Social media is like, oh, I can get rid of stretch marks by doing that. I want that.
Exactly.
Whereas like 15 years ago, even like 10 years ago, there was, I think, more a veil of
access.
like a veil of secrecy around that kind of stuff. So now people are like, well, I know that this exists. I know that this exists. I know this is possible. So I want it. But my hot take is the technology isn't good if it's not accessible to everybody.
I agree with you.
Like, you're not done testing it. It's not ready for the market.
I completely
I don't even want to see it if I, as someone, and honestly, like, even in the range of like melanated people, like, I would be considered like medium dark. So there are people that are significantly darker than me. My husband, for example. So if it doesn't work on me, to me, it ain't even ready to hit the market, boo. Like, you need to take it back and keep fixing it.
And I agree with you. 100%. And I have for years. And it's again, we'll have Saudi sheikhs come in with their wives that are Fitzpatrick 4, 5. You have to do this. And I'm like, there's a limitation of what we can do. Right. And literally I'm like, but my hands are kind of tied behind my back. It's changed. And I think it's going to continue to change because technology is also evolving, which is a beautiful thing.
Good. Thank God.
I have a question for you because I'm actually really very fascinated. You started doing YouTube 15, 16 years ago?
Yeah. When you
did
said
YouTube start?
Well, when you said you guys started your practice 16 years ago, I was like, wait, this is my 16th year as a content creator.
That's pretty crazy. When
I
did
know.
YouTube even start? I'm just curious.
Oh my God. 2006.
So you were really one of the first real big content.
One of the first in the beauty world, definitely. So 2006, but I didn't get on the platforms till 2009.
Okay.
And it was very different. Like,
and how did that all happen? I'm just curious.
Oh my God. Like,
it's because you built a brand that's global and people know you everywhere and you've got a channel that's incredible. It takes a lot of hard work. But it also you have to have a vision, right, in the beginning.
Well, yeah, think about, I mean, you really took something out of frustration. Mm-hmm. You made it a platform and now you change lives, right? I mean, you definitely do. You're right. I mean, she's flawless. You look at her and it almost
I'm in the business of looking flawless.
It makes you a little
They'll
nervous.
drag you if I don't.
But when you use that platform, you step up to it and you're honest and truthful and say, look, this is what we lack. This is what we need. This is how I do it. You change lives, which is phenomenal.
Thank you. Honestly, guys, like, I want to sit here and say, oh, I just had this vision and I knew that I didn't know nothing about nothing. I literally started YouTube first, mainly out of depression and needing a creative outlet. So at the time I was married and I lived in Hawaii, and I'm not native to Hawaii. So like
You're from LA, no?
Yeah, I'm from here, yeah. But like, my ex-husband was stationed there. We were both in the military and he was stationed there. So I didn't have family. I didn't have friends. I was kind of like confined, and like, I obviously wasn't happily married because I'm no longer married to him. But YouTube was like, at the time, something I was just obsessed with consuming. And this was also around the time that I really started discovering, like, not only do I like makeup, but I'm actually kind of good at it. So what I was doing was I was taking a lot of makeup looks that I would see on like white women and like a lot of times Asian women who were like way lighter than me. And like, I would just consume their content. And this was like way before SEO, search engine, like before we learned like I can actually actively find someone who looks like me. That was before I knew how to do all of that. I just saw what YouTube fed me.
Sure.
And the default again was people who didn't look like me. So I was taking their looks and I was kind of like, well, this is how I would do it for my skin tone. I was doing a lot of that. And it was my best friend that was like, you should show people how to do that. And I was like, girl, no, I have no interest being on camera. I was like, what? Cause I was depressed, bro, going through it. Like, I did not want to be on camera. But eventually, like, she would tell me this like once a week, and I'd be like, if this girl don't shut up, finally, I was like, whatever, like, I'll just get on YouTube, fine. But honestly, shout out to her, because it ended up truly like saving my life, because the bar was like so low for me at the time, my self-esteem and like what I had been going through personally, emotionally, that when I joined the platform, and my platform didn't immediately take off. It definitely was growing at a rate that I was like, oh, like people are actually watching. This is interesting. But the bar was so low for me at the time. I was just happy that people were being nice to me, because like, that's how in the like
You
in the
felt validated.
trenches I was. Yes. It was really truly like the community that I was coming there for.
That's great.
Because I mean, if you look at my old videos, like Doctor, the makeup was not it definitely evolved. But at that time I was just like, oh wow, like people are nice to me. Like that was good enough. And I just kept like, I didn't even know people could do this as a job. Like I didn't know social media was going to turn into what it is now. And I think because I wasn't as like loud about advocacy, I definitely was an advocate then, but I wasn't as like blunt as I clearly am now. You know, there's levels to like getting to the table and being like, all right, we're gonna fuck all this shit.
We're gonna rework this.
We're gonna rework all it. Can I cuss? You can
Sure.
bleep me.
It's okay.
But
You can cuss as much as you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's levels, right? So like in the beginning, I'd be like, it's so interesting. I went to this counter and they told me purple lipstick doesn't look good on my complexion. I'm actually going to show you exactly how I do it. So it became a community of people who got tired of being told
Because they felt
no.
the same way.
Right.
But I didn't know, like in my head, I'm just like, this is just Jackie from Hawaii, depressed. Like you never know who you're talking to when you
Right.
turn on your camera and just broadcast yourself, literally. So that's kind of how it grew. But even when I first started, I didn't make this a job until like year 6. So that's like over half a decade.
And did you just do the Met Gala too? Like last year?
No, that was
or a couple of years ago, right?
2021.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's
was
amazing
That's
because
pretty
again,
phenomenal.
think about this. You just started this on a whim because a friend that told you. And these are real success stories
Yeah.
because you've really taken it into a brand now, and it's become so much bigger than just a YouTube channel. You're one of how many children? Because I know mom.
7.
How's mom?
Depressed. I'm depressed. No,
I haven't seen mom in a while.
She's doing good. She's doing good. But yeah, when you grow up in a big family like that, you're consistently fighting to be heard. And then, you go into the world, you're consistently fighting to be heard. But I was the oldest. So I knew from a young age, like my voice was meant to be heard. I don't know how, but my voice was meant to be heard.
And out of your siblings, don't a lot of them work with you?
Well, off and on, they have at some points.
Okay.
It's not easy working with family. Like
I just
it's
remember
so
the one
hard.
shoot we did a while ago. You had a bunch of family members there.
Yeah.
right? And I looked at it.
That was
and
fun.
I just really love that. I love the fact that you
Yeah.
had so many people there. You're also, giving them, a way to be, to rise up and be empowered. And you're not just taking
Absolutely.
the success yourself, which is really a nice thing to see as well.
Yeah.
At least I would do the same thing. And I think family is important. So I've seen the way you treat your mom and how we've been together. And it's hilarious. She's hilarious.
Well, community, I think, is what makes this
Absolutely.
so rewarding. Like, what's the point if it's only benefiting me? It's also like such a big testament to like how I started. Like I started because I wanted other people. Eventually, when I started to grow my platform, I'm like, wait, like they're not just here for me, they're learning stuff. I was like, as long as you came over here and felt good, I love that. I love that. You walked away feeling like I heard a yes instead of a no, because I was so used to hearing no. That's all that mattered to me.
You definitely have carried through from
1000%,
day one, right?
1000%.
How have you changed? How have you evolved? You made reference before. You're like, oh, that makeup was a little different than it is now. How have you evolved in your channel?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's been, 16 years.
Yeah, a lot can happen in 16 years.
Definitely. The one thing I love that you stayed true is the fact that you're like, look, I'm creating content that people are going to feel better after they hear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everyone's very positive, it seems, because with social media, people can be really mean.
No, they're insane.
And we kind of talked about
They're
something
scary.
before this podcast started about
Yeah.
getting called out for certain things. But I hear the other side of it a lot from celebrities and how maybe they do a procedure with me and they'll be like, well, they called me out on so-and-so and it really hurt my feelings. And people can be very, when you're out there and you're a public figure, people can be mean.
Yeah.
And it's so nice that everyone's been very positive towards everything you've been doing so far. It
Not
makes
always.
Really?
They're vultures online in general to everybody. But to answer your question about like how have I changed? Well, one, I'm on more platforms. So when I first started, it was like YouTube, right? And then Instagram was birthed, and now we have TikTok, like that stuff didn't exist 15 years ago. But I'm on more platforms, which means I have more eyes on me. So that also means I have to be particularly careful of like what battles I pick,
Sure.
what kind of stuff I respond to, what I internalize, especially as a woman. Like as men, I love men. Men are wonderful. But you guys have no idea. Maybe you do because this is your profession.
It's our profession, so we have a little bit.
We do.
And we have I have 2 daughters.
We
and
get
he
a
has a daughter.
taste. We get a taste of it. You know, I never
People
thought
are
I'd quote Taylor Swift,
terrible.
but people love throwing rocks at things that shine. And
That's true.
It's so true.
Actually, she kind of ate with that. Yeah.
It's you know, the bigger you become,
yeah.
there are more people that hate. It's just it's human nature for some reason.
That's true.
And so it's a sad part of reality, but it has to eat at you at some point. You know, look, even when we had a skincare line and people would send stuff back, and I've been called so many things, you know, both of us.
There was an email that sent to last
from
week
the product.
Oh, yeah.
Don't use it.
Yeah,
if you don't like the product, don't use it. And
You
we're not telling you it's going to make you look like him.
Salesman. I mean,
whoa.
Oh yeah.
From like customers or like
Oh yeah, customers.
And you literally like, really?
Yeah.
That's what you're going to do with your time.
Wow.
And my wife told me right off the bat, she's like, you cannot respond to these people. Because at first I was like trying to say, hey, I think you misunderstood
You wanted
me.
to call someone last week. I was like, what are you going to say to this guy?
Yeah.
I don't think that kind of, no.
It just, you know, we're still human. It still
for
gets
sure.
you. But you must have to eat a lot and just say, well, you know, this is price of doing biz, I guess.
It shouldn't even be that though.
Right.
Like, why don't I have the right to like a healthy work environment just like every other person just because I turn on my camera and show up as myself? I think that's particularly, and maybe you guys can speak to this as this is your job to like fix parts of people, but like I should also be allowed to exist. So my general rule when it comes to like beauty aesthetics, and also a big part of how to answer your question, like how have I evolved? I personally would never walk into a doctor's office thinking I'm going to fix something. I'm going to fix this simply because someone commented on it. That's when I feel like I've personally lost the plot. Like I'll be damned if a comment is what drives me to go spend thousands on fixing something about my body, changing any part of how I look, my hair, my skin, my body. Absolutely not. And it's like, I've had to kind of take that on because one day it's a comment about a droopy eye. The next is the comment about your big nose. One person thinks your ass is too flat. The next person thinks it's too big. Then your hair is nappy. Then your hair is not nappy enough. It's like, which one is it? I'm confused. So if one person has the ability to like move, like if the goalpost is always shifting, then what are you going to focus on?
Right.
Do you like the way you look when you wake up in the morning every day before you log on Instagram? If you do, then who the hell cares what someone comments? Like,
absolutely.
And I don't even, actually, I shouldn't say who the hell cares. We're all human. Like, of course I care that you made that really awful comment. Like, damn.
Yeah.
But I've learned the older that I get, like, I cannot internalize everything because there's always going to be something. It's sad. There is always going to be something. And, you know, to answer what you were like, oh, everyone is so positive. I do get a lot of positivity, but you know what's almost kind of like worse as the mean comments are the comments that are like nice nastiness draped in like, oh, they really think they're doing you a favor. So they'll say something like, like last year I did this whole series on finding boots for wide calves because I have wide calves, and it turned into like, you should get calf lipo. My sister tried it. Excuse me. I'm like, what? God. Like, and they really think they're helping you.
Right.
Oh, it's like, what?
But that's what's happened, I think. And it can really lead, like, thank God that, you know, you've got strong mental health, but it could really lead to problems.
It has.
Mentally, especially for children that are on, you know, that are teenagers that are on social media, and they'll be like, your nose is too big, or you're, you know, and we see a lot of this stuff because people they get these complexes because of it.
Oh, for sure.
And it's important that, you know, whoever's listening, listen, you got to be strong and really be confident in who you are before you go into these platforms and do anything, whether you're a YouTube star or just an average teenager that's going to school, because it's tough. I mean, it's much tougher than it was when we were growing up because we didn't have this in our face all the time to analyze us and
That's why I wrote a kid's book on that.
Really?
You know,
Oh
it's
my
called
God, so
Nobody's the
cute.
Same. And,
Wait,
you know,
that's
because
so
I have
cool.
3 children, you know, as a father, as a plastic surgeon, the last thing I want them to feel is that, you know, if they don't like something, they have to fix it, you know, especially with me.
Yeah.
And so, you know, wrote this as a series of books to try to, you know, at least talk about self-acceptance and, you know, maintaining
It's really a
self-confidence
great
and things
book.
like that. But
It's really profound. Like
Yeah.
as
Really
a
is
plastic
great
surgeon.
book for a plastic-
It's
It's awesome.
I
it's
mean,
going to be it's gonna be
yeah.
challenging as the kids grow, especially look, adolescence is just mean. It just
It's
is.
awful.
So, you know, I have to
Yeah.
do something.
So let's shift to something else.
Yeah.
Tell us about your glow up routine. You know,
Yes.
like, what is your personal skincare routine? How does this all work? How much work does it take to look this good? You're like, well, I woke up at 5 in the morning.
Absolutely not. I could never be that person. I wish I could. Please sprinkle some of that 5 a.m. dust on me.
I love that.
I wish I could.
Let's do nighttime skincare
Nighttime? Ooh.
and daytime. Just see.
I actually feel like the nighttime is where I really cook with the skincare.
Okay.
Because, you know, then I could use like my retinols. I could use my salicylic acid, glycolic acid. Like I could really get active with it.
Uh-huh.
I have like a very thorough, like no matter what, I don't care if I'm drunk, I don't care if I'm tired, I don't care if I'm a zombie, I'm doing my skincare routine, period.
We can tell.
Yeah.
And yeah,
where
and
you
you
look
tell me
good.
every time I see you, you're like, you look so good. I'm like, wow, I feel like I just slapped on SPF and left my house. Thanks though. Like I'm like, oh, thank you.
Some of it is obviously genetics. Some of it is just you take care. But the other is you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And this is what's important to know these routines so people can follow along. Now, she
Definitely.
does this on YouTube too, but we're going to get it on our podcast today.
Well, first and foremost, I'm a really big fan of double cleansing. So I love like using like an oil-based cleanser
Okay.
or like a balm to get like the first layer of whatever's on. So SPF or makeup, I kind of work with that first and then I'll go on with the cleanser. I typically like a gel-based cleanser because they tend to be really good for like oily combination skin.
We just actually came out with one, which
Really?
is interesting that you say that. Yeah.
I would love to try it.
I gave you a bunch of stuff. I'm going to send
Does
you
it
some
foam?
stuff. We'll send
I don't
you a
remember you
bunch.
giving me a cleanser.
This is newer.
Okay.
The gel-based cleanser. I think they might have seen your YouTube on that.
Is it foamy?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it doesn't foam up a lot. Like there are some where you put in your hand, as soon as you do this, it all
Yes.
forms a foam. It's really more of a gentle gel.
Got it.
And so, but it will strip all the dirts and makeup and things like
Yes, I need something really thorough but not stripping. So that's my vibe. I need you to get all the oil, all the impurities, everything. And then after that, without fail, unless I've gotten like a chemical peel, which I'm gonna talk about shortly. After that, without fail, I use lotion P50. And I know all of the girls, the esthees, the skincare gurus, all of them know about lotion P50. It's kind of strong, but it's like an exfoliating toner. And to me, I notice a big difference in like the overall like pores after I use that.
Okay.
And then it's also helping me exfoliate. I have like a gentle version and then I have like kind of a stronger version. So at night I use the stronger version and the gentle one I use during the day. And then I'll use something like hyaluronic acid based and then maybe like a salicylic acid serum. Most of my skincare stuff is either from like my esthetician or brands that I've worked with that I like to keep rebuying. Because I wouldn't work with a brand that I wouldn't keep rebuying.
I love
so
that.
like I love Sulwhasoo. That's a big brand in a lot of my skincare products. Clarins, I'm a huge fan of Clarins. Technology eats down. They invest in those ingredients. What else do I like to use? I love Tatcha.
Okay.
I love a lot of Tatcha.
Tatcha's
And then I always use an eye cream
Okay.
and I always moisturize. I do an at-home peel, a very gentle at-home peel that I get from an esthetician
Okay.
once a week. But on the days leading up to that, I use no actives. So nothing with lactic acid, nothing that would exfoliate. Cause like I want to prepare my skin. Like Sunday will be like my peel day or like a Monday will be like my peel day.
Okay.
So I also think a really good tip is like putting your skin on a schedule. So if you're breaking out or if your skin starts going haywire and you're like, what's going on? Hey, maybe you shouldn't have like did that peel yesterday that you forgot about. And then you started scrubbing and using all of these abrasive physical scrubs 2 days later, your skin's still healing. I've also come to realize There's so much like misconceptions about having dark skin, similar to the misconceptions about like black hair.
Sure.
A lot of times I think people assume because your skin is dark, you guys probably don't assume this because you're doctors and you literally know about skin, but like a lot of people assume that dark skin can like withstand more. So I thought if I scrubbed more, it was actually better. I thought if I used stronger astringents and toners and exfoliants, it was actually better.
Never.
I was
Damaging.
tearing my
You're going to hurt your skin. Absolutely.
up. And then not only was I tearing my skin up, but then I've also realized the more educated I am on skin that like dark skin actually takes a really, really long time to heal. There's literally a burn on my forehead that happened like a month ago. It's still like white meat because it's still healing and it's healing really slowly. It was from like a curling iron. My poor hairstyle.
How many of those have we seen?
He totally did it by accident. I know. But instead of like trying to rush the process by like using the most like super potent stuff in my skincare routine, trying to scrub the scars off, like, no, you actually need to heal it slower. Like gentle after prolonged uses is, in my opinion, better than something super abrasive. Like that's why I don't do super, super, super strong peels anymore. Like, do you remember back in the day when everybody was like obsessed with the Obagi blue peel?
Absolutely.
Yes.
That was like scary.
Yeah.
Like
Some
the
people
stuff
still
that
are.
It's too much.
It's a bit much.
I prefer doing it
slow, gradual.
Slow and steady is so much better than trying to peel your whole face off.
Agree.
And again, for somebody that's got good skin and is younger, I agree with that too. But if you were, older and you had a ton of sun damage or a ton of wrinkles, it'd be a different story.
True.
So I think you have to also individualize everyone, but I completely agree with you. I don't think using harsh chemicals at really high levels are ever good for you.
We have to give you the resurface and restore. It's like a chemical peel over a month. It's where you use these little pads and then it tingles a little and then you neutralize it 3 minutes later with this peptide milk.
Oh, that's amazing.
But it's like, you're not going to peel, but it's like a peel over a month.
Yeah.
So that's currently the kind of peel that I use. My skin doesn't physically peel, but over time I'll see the improvements. I was recently using this, oh my God, this godforsaken hair vitamin, freaking TikTok shop. Like
Nutrafol or no?
No, it's that. No, I don't even want to name drop the brand, but it took me like 6 months to realize it was tearing up my skin. I had no idea why until I went to my esthetician and she was like, the back knee was like my back was crazy.
Oh, wow.
Like speckled.
That's so interesting.
And then it was on my face. It was only in one spot. It was only in my middle cheeks. And then I started getting on this side too. And I was like, what is going on with my skin? So I go to my esthetician. I hadn't seen her in some time. And she starts doing have you done this? Have you changed this? Have you changed this? And then she was like, have you been taking vitamins? And then I was like, actually, yeah, I was taking a hair vitamin. And then I found out it was that. So just from like deductive reasoning and her asking me the questions. And then, I went back onto my routine. I started doing my peels again and my skin did heal slowly, but absolutely the best thing that I ever did was doing less to my skin, but prolonged.
Yeah, always better. I always, like, we always recommend, if we can, I'm like, if you have the time, don't do things at the strongest setting. Yeah. Light and steady. Some people are like, no, I want that one time and be done. And again, it's never the best way to go.
It's interesting listening to what you do for your skin because it makes perfect sense. The idea is healthy skin is clean skin. So I love that you cleanse twice. Yeah. And gentle cleansers where it's not stripping all the natural elements of the skin. Mm-hmm. And then what you're doing is when you apply these things, it's, we're looking at the long term as opposed to abrasive, types of exfoliants, anything that's got this, it feels like tiny little gravel in your skincare where you're doing that. It's just, it causes inflammation, we'll say. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good word. Inflammation.
So that's the newest buzzword because inflammation in our bodies it's really the most detrimental thing. So
I just learned that
as we get older, not only does it make us age externally, but it makes us age internally. So one of the biggest things, because we have a regenerative medical clinic in Cabo San Lucas, and we're doing a lot of regenerative medicine in the US as well, one of the main things that we're targeting is trying to decrease inflammation. Mm-hmm. So if we can decrease inflammation on all levels, cellular levels, we can actually make people age slower externally and internally.
I need to get into that.
Yeah.
Do I need to go to Mexico?
We might be able to do some things
talk.
here.
Okay, period. Because you did tell me about this.
I did.
And I told you I was dealing with long COVID.
Yes, we have the perfect solution for long COVID.
Right. That's something we do in Beverly Hills.
So that's something called therapeutic plasma exchange.
Yeah.
I actually did it myself. What was it, 2 weeks ago? And I'll make this really simple so I don't take too much time. But it's doing 2 IVs, taking your blood, all your
same
blood
time?
out. Yeah. So you got 2. One that's taking everything out, and the other that's putting things back. So your blood, your red blood cells, white blood cells, all the blood components just get put right back.
Yeah.
All of the liquid portion of your blood, which is called plasma, for the most part, gets taken out and dumped. Okay.
Wow.
And literally just thrown away. And I'll show you a picture of it. It's unbelievable. And what this does is it takes away viruses, heavy metals, plastics, cholesterol, and most of all, some of the
COVID.
the sleepy cells that are dead in your system that cause disease, and it just dumps them. And one of the main things they say is that people that have long COVID, they have virus particles that are still kind of lingering and causing these problems.
Yes.
So they say that by doing this oil change or filtering your blood, you really can eliminate that. So we need to get you in and do that.
Yeah, because
it's really easy. It took 2 hours. I felt, and I still do, I feel amazing. I haven't slept this well in years. And I want to attribute it to something. And I keep saying, oh, maybe it's that. Maybe it's that.
Yeah.
And I tell you, there's no one that's had this done. And it's being done at only a few select kind of set, offices in LA and around the country. But everyone says that their lab values are better, especially their inflammatory markers. So all the inflammation is coming down. So anything we can do to take inflammation out of our bodies, make us heal better and live longer and age slower.
I'm definitely interested.
No, we'll do it. We'll get you and Dennis to do it together.
Dennis, not so much, because Dennis
He
is
doesn't like
very
needles.
Dennis is so old school, and he's just like, it's like he just wants to make me happy. That's all he cares about.
Best
He
type of
doesn't
husband,
care.
yeah.
He doesn't care at all. Like, he just does not care. He's like, he'll do whatever for
That's
me.
the type of husband to have, right?
I know, right? If he was like just as in it as me, I'd be like, okay, this is becoming a very expensive relationship. It's got to be one of the
We'll
other.
for sure get you in on that. But
I'm
the
excited.
whole theory of inflammaging is really something that we're realizing more and more, that if we decrease inflammation in our bodies, everything feels good. Not only do your knees and your shoulders, but everything kind of ages in a kind of a much slower way.
There was actually a question that you guys had in the briefing about like what are skincare concerns, or I think it was something about that. And I actually wanted to mention that because you said inflammaging, and I always find it so interesting that a lot of times when I visit a doctor or like someone reaches out to me about working with them about a product or something, and there's like all of this anti-aging, and the first thing that in my head that I think is like, personally, like I don't really care about anti-aging products. Like I'm already happy with the way that I'm aging. However, you tell me something is resurfacing or regenerative, helps with like scarring, like as a 37, almost 38-year-old, that's the stuff I care about. Yes, I understand I'm closer to 40 now than ever, but like my skincare concerns are slightly different to like some of my peers who don't look like me. Like I'm not going in looking for like how to treat wrinkles and crow's feet. Like I don't really have that stuff. So can you give me something like lighten scars, kojic acid? Like, you know what I mean? Like
very good.
That, if you had a laser or a treatment for that, I would eat it up.
We do.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I have the privilege of operating on a lot of darker skinned individuals. I do a lot of breast reductions on African-American females. A lot. I mean, it's probably, I have just as many light skin versus, and I have realized that now I've found the perfect way to treat those scars. And it's,
what is it?
It's
I'm
a combination of something called Triluma, which has got some kojic acid, hydroquinone, retinol, and a little bit of a steroid, treating them with that, and then bringing them in for a very, very, very light fractionated CO2 laser. And it works.
So you can do that on dark skin?
Absolutely.
You're the only person that's ever told me that. That's crazy.
You have to just really dial it down.
Okay.
And you have to pre-treat. As long as you pre-treat with this Triluma, you can do it. And I'll show you pictures of breast reduction scars that are virtually gone.
So when you say pre-treat, before the surgery?
Use that cream first because it prepares the skin, and then when you do the laser, you don't get as much hyperpigmentation.
So after surgery, put it on the scar like 3 months later,
Yes.
and then treat it with lasers at like 6 months later.
Interesting.
Absolutely. To the point where I'll show you, you'll be like, wow, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, scars are concerning. And it's interesting. There's been this thought and stigma, all dark skin heals poorly. And people come in and tell me that. And I'm like, that's not true. I'll show you. I'll show you a lot of people I've operated on that have the darkest of the darkest skin and you barely can see their scars. The one breast reduction that I show everybody that comes in the office is a girl that was actually from Africa. And I was like, here you go. You can't even see her scars. So I said, don't think just because you have dark skin, you're gonna heal poorly. I don't believe that. Now there are some people that will get a keloid every time you pierce their ear.
That's a little different.
It happens.
Yeah.
And those are but I don't think that just because you're Middle Eastern or African American or you've got dark skin that you can't have surgery. You can't have a tummy tuck. You can't have a breast lift. Of course you can. And it'll come out nicely. And just go to someone that's used to treating, you know, wide array of different types of people. And I think it should come out nicely.
What's the next project? The next fun thing?
Well, as a brand founder and fragrance brand owner, just continuing to disrupt that space. Like, I love fragrance. I genuinely started Forever Mood thinking it was going to be. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Like, what kind of notes do you get into, Dr. Layke? What's your favorite type of fragrance?
Citrus.
Okay.
You know, I'm not as heavy of a musk guy.
Okay.
You know, so the oud woods and, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
I only like hints. Whereas
Got it.
I just like, you know, there was a great one by Louis Vuitton that was a afternoon swim that was like a light.
Was it aquatic kind of?
Yes.
Interesting.
I was talking about the pine tree on the mirror that he puts on his car. I'm kidding.
Car freshener.
The car freshener. No, but we have this scent that goes through the office that he found.
Like an
diffuser from the
industrial?
hotel collection.
Oh,
So it's like, you know, when you go to the
walk into the
Edition
Edition
or the
in
one.
Miami.
Yeah, one of those vibes.
We've got it.
So is that's like, oh, it is. It's like a Santal, right?
Yes,
I think it's like a
absolutely.
Palo
It's very
Santo or
similar like
something.
that.
Yes,
absolutely.
yes. I'll be remembering. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do recognize that scent.
See,
It
I've
smells
worn,
good
I've
in the
worn the
office.
same cologne for the last 30 years.
Dr. Danielpour.
I won't change it.
Why?
'Cause
It must be some
'cause
fragrance.
It smells like soap. It smells very light. So
So you
nobody
like
looks at me
clean.
like, oh, here he comes. It just smells very clean.
And you wear it in the office too?
I wear it all the time. Every
Really?
day. And to
Which
this
one
day,
is it?
people are like, well, it's called Gendarme.
Oh.
It's not a very common, but I started using it literally, I think in high school. And,
Wow.
And I still, I got a text from someone the other day. Where do I get that cologne you have? Because it smells like soap.
Yeah.
So to me, it's not
I like clean
overbearing.
scents.
And
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like when someone hugs me, they're like, wow, that was strong. So,
I do.
You know.
That's exactly what I like to smell like. I want it to linger. I want it to
Exactly,
trail,
exactly.
honey. I want you to smell me before you see me, actually.
Okay, I love
That person's
my
going to
vibe.
walk away.
Exactly.
And they say, oh, yeah, Jackie's coming.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's like I can't have like
I
a
smell
drug
Jackie.
card,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, not in
That's
the
like,
office. Yeah, not when
like
you're
that- no, yeah.
operating
When you're
and
out,
stuff.
you want it to linger through a crowd.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's exactly
That's
that's exactly the type of moments I want to curate and continue to create with Forever Mood.
What is your fragrance brand?
Forever Mood?
Oh, wow.
And it's fragrance. It's
Okay.
fine. It's fine. It's perfume.
Okay.
It's fine fragrance and it's home fragrance. So we do candles and we also have perfume. And honestly, Dennis and I started this brand during the pandemic thinking it was going to be a passion project, whatever that means. But it was,
I didn't even know this. This is great.
yeah. We started in 2020 and we blew through like a year worth of inventory in 8 hours. And
That's
we were
so great.
excited, but also like, what are we going to do? Like, we were not ready. So yeah. So basically, this is our 5th year.
Amazing.
And it was last year, we started with candles, but last year we launched perfume. And it's really been awesome going from creator, the person in front of the camera, to now being a brand founder. But I kind of feel like it felt like time for something different. Like, I've loved the conversations I've created on social media and the content that I've created, but it definitely felt like, all right, like, let's do something different now. Like, let's disrupt another space. And I really, really had very specific pain points I wanted to address in the fragrance industry as a fragrance lover and now as a fragrance brand founder. So It's amazing. I'll send you guys
Congrats,
some.
for sure.
I have something definitely for you, and I definitely,
I don't know about you.
No. I do have a clean scent. I wouldn't describe it as soapy, but I would describe it as like a second skin, something that doesn't smell literal. Like you're not gonna smell bergamot. You're gonna smell like, oh, you smell really nice. Like it smells like your skin. I think you'll like it. It's called You Remind Me.
Oh, I like
Ooh,
that.
I like that.
Is it after Usher's song?
No, but it might as well be. No, because the reason why we named it You Remind Me, it's because when you smell it, you're like, I feel like I've smelled this before. Like, what are you wearing?
Oh, I love that.
As opposed to wearing like a gourmand, you're like, oh, you smell like cherries.
Yes.
And everybody loves cherries. Well, some people don't. But or you smell like
cherries.
vanilla. Vanilla's a little bit more literal. Or like tobacco is like really polarizing and it's a little bit more literal. Whereas You Remind Me, you're like, what is that? You smell good, but like you remind me of someone. I've smelled someone who smelled like that.
No,
Like,
where,
it's kind
of the
where
vibe.
can someone get your Forever Mood? It's all online.
Forevermood.com. But Forever is spelled with no E. So FORVR mood.com.
Okay.
or Sephora, your local
it's a
Sephora.
Sephora.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We're at Sephora in
crushing it.
stores.
I love
Good
that.
luck finding them testers though, because the testers are ran through, honey.
Oh,
like
really?
the
That's
testers
awesome.
gone. Like
is so cool.
people go in stores and they just drown the testers
Good for you.
and,
That's great,
and
though.
leave. I know.
It's one of those, huh?
Yeah.
It's like my nieces. They walk out of Sephora. I'm like, "Whew, what is
But
that?
funny enough, well, you know what? That's actually what I would tell customers to do. I always tell people like, make an informed decision before you buy something. So like put it on, walk around the mall, and then fall in love with it after you've worn it for like 30 minutes, see how your skin responds to it, and then go buy it.
It's also so true because your skin will respond. Everyone's skin responds
way different from
differently.
smelling it on a blotter. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But yeah.
You have your own oils that mix in with it. and,
Exactly.
For sure.
Your body will tell you if they like a scent.
Now, we're going to send you everything in our
can't
skincare
wait.
line.
I cannot wait.
I've given stuff to you over the years.
I know.
I had to. But I'm going to send you a bunch, and you
I
can
can't wait.
you can tell us what you like.
Okay.
And just
Anything
call us,
with,
be like,
like,
throw that
resurfacing.
away. Keep this, and we'll just
Okay.
follow.
Okay.
Okay. And then
I'm
we have
ready.
to do. And then I want you to tell me if you think there's a difference using it on darker skin tones or not. 'Cause
Okay.
the way we formulated our line, it was supposed to be used by everyone.
Yeah.
Meaning there's no, like, it's not just for a certain type of Fitzpatrick scale. You know what I mean? Because again, it's made, the way we created this line is so everyone can have a piece of Beverly
Yeah,
Hills.
the actives are for
Love
everyone.
that. Okay, good.
So if you're in the middle of Missouri or if you're in Alabama or if you're in Georgia, wherever it is, you should be able to get a little bit of Beverly Hills in your house.
I
and
love
kind of use
that.
It. So, and it's for younger and older, and it kind of, there's some that are for much older and there's some for much younger and so forth. So
Interesting.
We'll send you the age appropriate ones.
Good. Okay. I can't wait.
my last question for you. Favorite thing about plastic surgery?
Well, first of all, I'm being showered with compliments. The front desk girls are the best. They're amazing. They're so sweet. They're always so lovely. You know what? I think the best thing about plastic surgery is like, it's what you make it. So you can either go out of control, you can go crazy, or you can do something and no one will even know.
Subtlety
It can be
is the way.
completely undetectable. It can be completely unclockable. I think it's whatever you make it. I'm actually more invested in the like scientific side of it. So like, you know how I feel about Botox for underarms. That
best.
knowing that I could do that gagged me. Not having to be a prisoner to like what I smell like under my arms.
Absolutely.
That's why also Forever Mood exists, because of my personal relationship to scent and smell for that exact reason. But that kind of stuff is very, like, I'm invested in knowing, like, even from like a self-esteem, not everything is about how you look. Actually, it's treating things, it's fixing things.
Absolutely.
It's changing your life.
I love it.
That's my favorite thing about plastic surgery.
One last thing. Where can our listeners find you?
Everywhere at Jackie Aina.
A-I-N-A. Her
Correct.
first name is Jackie, like Jackie O.
Jackie O.
If you like this video, you're going to love this one.
They will put in the buzzword ingredients, but not at significant active levels to actually do anything. And so that's the good part about having a physician-backed skincare line, because we're going to put in stuff that works.